Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Suddenly Twenties podcast, episode whatever number we are at now, because we're so cool. We have so many episodes now, and we have 2,000 listeners. I'm just getting straight
to the point
onto that topic. Hello, 2,000 of you, or 2,007 last time I checked. We just want to say a huge thank you before we get into today's exciting episode. Welcome to the 2007 probably plus of you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. And we literally hit our New Year's resolution like 2 days ago. Like when we made our New Year's resolutions episode, we said we were currently at 600 listeners and we wanted to hit 2,000 by the end of 2022. So
yay!
Yay! So today we have a very exciting episode, obviously, as always. I need like a whiteboard with different adjectives every time I intro these episodes so I can just change it up. But it's our saying, it's our slogan. Very exciting episodes always. We are going to be talking about, because it's relationship week, we are going to be talking about long distance relationships. We have all been in one, so we all have some stories to tell and things to say and advice to give. And we have a guest on today, Remy. Welcome to the Suddenly Twenties podcast. Yeah, do you or Shana want to introduce Remy a little bit to our audience?
So Remy is my stepsister, my little sister. Cute. How old are you? 21?
21,
yeah. 21. And you've been in a long-distance relationship, so we're like, let's bring on Remy to have a 3-person chat about this topic. But, yeah, I feel like, what do? You study uni?
Yep.
You study uni?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm in my second year, and I'm studying criminology. And, yeah.
Oh my God, what happened?
It fell off.
Everything fell apart.
Just listen like this.
Do you want to put it back up?
All right, welcome back, everybody. My mic literally just fell off. We're back, and we're introducing Remy. Welcome, Remy. Let's go round 2.
Let's do it. Take it away, Shana.
So this is Remy. She's my little stepsister. Little as in 21. We grew up together in Coffs Harbour, so we've known each other literally forever. And I thought we'd get you on the pod today to talk about long-distance relationships, as you have recently been in one.
Yeah, actually, so I'm just going to track back to something we just said technically off recording, but the 3 of us, I feel like each have a different version of success for our own personal well-being, but technically we have some failed and some successful long-distance relationship experiences. Do you guys want me to go first?
Yeah,
mine's
hit
pretty
it.
Short.
Go for it, Steph.
All right. So
I think yours would have been the first.
Short.
You would have experienced it first, hey?
In chronological order, yes. I did long distance in 2015.
Yeah.
I started dating my now ex-partner in year 11, 2014, in like the September. And then after 4 months, I moved to Indonesia, in Jakarta specifically, to do year 12 with my family. So we did long distance for the year while I was literally in another country.
Literally.
Yours was hardcore.
I absolutely...
Yeah, yours was the most
hardcore. It was hardcore, and it actually fucking sucked. But I suppose it was for a year, and then I moved back. So technically it was successful, but like...
So you didn't break up because of the long distance?
No.
Okay.
We made it through, and I have no idea how. I personally would say my long distance experience was pretty negative. Like, I hated it, and I'd probably never do it again. But in saying that, I would really struggle to do it with my current partner, Sam. But also I'm more confident in our relationship that I feel like if we could probably do maybe 3 months long distance if, for instance, you know, like I went on a holiday or something like that, but I just would not.
Or like you moved to the Gold Coast during winter.
Exactly.
Hint,
you know,
hint,
like that's
hint.
kind of why I'm saying it. I'm mentally preparing.
No.
Is Sam listening to this? Hello. No, so I guess my experience was like we were in high school. It was pretty difficult because, you know, for example, when I got there, like you have to get a whole new SIM card and phone and data, and like the whole process is such a long process to settle into another country in particular. So I just remember there was a while where, oh fuck, honestly, I feel like I can't really talk about long distance because our relationship was so unique that, like, I'm not gonna lie, big secret, I was so uncomfortable in my relationship, even though I loved him, that I literally didn't tell him I got a SIM card. So, you know, I don't know.
For how long?
Anyway, let's move on to
Wait,
someone
for how
else's.
long?
No, let's go backtrack to that last bit.
Wait, so you moved?
Probably like 3 weeks.
So you were dating for 4 months, and then you're like, oh shit, we're going to stay together, we'll do long distance. And for 3 weeks, you had a SIM card and didn't tell him?
Yeah.
So that just describes the relationship kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you kept going for like 9 months.
I suppose. Yeah. So I don't know, like, I guess that's one of the difficult things. Like, I'm not saying I'm, like, I don't want people to now listen and be like, she's fucking reason I would not do long distance. But that's one of the things about long distance is it requires this trust, and like there's so much ability to like lie or manipulate the situation. And you know, I'd had a very, very big fight with my partner before we left. And I think everyone was genuinely shocked that we even stayed together.
Yeah.
And I had people being like, saying to me, like, just, you know, it'll fizzle out. And I just wasn't over our fight yet. So it was really difficult to say goodbye and be like genuinely heartbroken and not even know if we'd survive it. But I'm just someone who needs my own time. Like, I wasn't really ready to like, we just weren't over the fight, and it was just existing. And that kind of ties into, I suppose, my long distance experience was this series of like horrible fights that couldn't get resolved until I was back in person again. And because we were in different countries, it was near impossible to like, you know, resolve it in person. I'm not someone who can resolve things over the phone. It's just naturally not me. I'm an in-person person. So that was my experience with long distance. It literally was one fight after the other and one issue. Every person who's been in a relationship would know that like you go through like good and bad phases. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it was just one of those huge, it was like a bad phase after a bad phase, and we didn't have a good phase until I then returned, and it was a year later. So my long distance was pretty rough. I saw him twice in that year. So in the April, he came up to visit for 2 weeks. And then in the July, I went back to visit, but we were still like mid-fight, and it was like intense and shit.
So 2 times in a whole year, Steph, you saw him. That's so great. And one was like in the middle of a fight.
Both. Yeah.
So what were these like arguments? Were they about long distance? Like, you don't have to go into the details of the fight, but were they because of long distance, or because keep going, sorry.
Yeah. I was just going to say a lot of them were still to do with the fight before we left, and it just couldn't get resolved, and we didn't have enough time. Like, I think it was more that we felt this, like, you know how sometimes relationships have big issues that you need to like spend almost weeks resolving and like talking about together as a team. But because we were doing long distance, you know, we'd see each other for 2 weeks, and there'd be this pressure to like be all happy and enjoy it at the time, when really it required this kind of really intense like conversation, like, can you move on from this, and can I move on from what happened, and stuff like that. And it was like really difficult to find the ability to do that when really you just wanted to be like, oh, we're finally together, so let's just have fun. And then you'd end up apart again, and you'd be like, oh fuck, we didn't resolve our issues. And the other side to it though was this like lack of trust and communication. You know, I was studying to literally get into law, so I was like really busy, and so often it would be this like, I need you to text me at this time. And we also had time difference too, so 4 hours time difference. So it was difficult too. Like, I'd wake up at 5 to go to school, but he'd already be at school. And And then by the time he's at lunch, I was then in my first class. And then when he was finished school, I was done lunch and I was doing my second half of school. And then I'd get home and we'd talk for like 2 hours and then it was time for him to go to bed. And that was our year. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it would have also, like, high school relationships are hard in itself, let alone a long distance international relationship. And in year 11, you're kind of finding yourself as well. So, like, all at once is a lot. But, so I think, I don't know. What do we...
But I mean, it was successful. Like, we ended up, like, I moved literally back to Canberra to go to uni for him. So I reckon if it wasn't for me being in that relationship, I probably wouldn't have even come back to Canberra. Like, I would have ended up elsewhere. So I came back for him and then we lived together for 2 years and then we broke up. So, lol. Let's move on.
Anyway. No. Well, I think one big thing is to not argue before you move overseas and do long distance.
That's my advice.
That's just definitely
resolve it before you leave.
Oh, God. Yeah. But also, like, it seemed like your relationship was, rocky before you even left anyways, so probably made it a lot harder.
Yeah, I'd love to see how it would work if, one, we didn't have that massive, like, issue before we left, but two, if it was the relationship that I'm meant to be in. Like, we had a lot of differences, and we both suffered from a lot of mental health issues. So, like, it created this constant anxious attachment, which I think is, an interesting thing to consider. Because if you're anxiously attached, I don't think you can be in a long distance relationship. Yeah. That's actually my, like, one motto. So,
yeah. Chronological order of me.
Yeah, thank God.
So as everyone probably already knows, Shay and I did a year of long distance. So we had dated for about 9 months and then we broke up when he moved to Canberra, and then I think it was like a year later we got back together, and that was the start of long distance. So, I mean, it wasn't as difficult as international, but Coffs to Canberra is about 8 hours drive, so it was either like a full day's travel by car or connecting flight, I guess. But I don't know how often Shay and I saw each other. It would have been maybe, I want to say, like once every 3 to 4 months, maybe. And I'd go down, maybe it wasn't even that, but I'd go down for like a festival and spend a week there. Did you hear the car? We had like a car.
We were doing skitties outside your house.
I literally hate the people that have loud cars because, like, I try to film YouTube videos and stuff and I'm mid-sentence and I'm like, I'll just fucking wait for you. Don't you worry. That's what you get for living on a main road, though. It's my own fault. Should have just bought this house, but anyway.
Regrets. No, so I think, either I'd go down to Shay or Shay would come up to me and we'd spend at least a week together. And I think we kind of made like an event out of it. So if it was like my birthday, he'd come up, or if it was a festival in Canberra, then I'd go down for that or something like that. And I think that, so Shay and I's long distance was obviously successful as we're still together. That doesn't mean it wasn't hard. So I think doing those trips is what made it easier, having a trip kind of always planned. So you're kind of counting down when to see them next, and also having that end date. So I think essentially, because we both didn't want to do long distance and it was either Shay moving or I moving. And Shay was studying. So I made the move to Canberra, and I think we knew that after that year I was going to. So we had that end date as well. So that is what made it a lot easier as well. But yeah, I think communication is the biggest thing for long distance, like you said, Steph. Shay and I Shay is the worst texter, so that made it so hard.
Worse than me.
Same.
Yeah.
Really?
Like, at least you kind of string a sentence together and ask a question back.
True.
Like,
yes, that's the key.
Yeah.
Like, I will... Like, there was just moments or time... Oh, I don't know the word. Like, there was just times where I had to be like, okay, I need you to put some more effort in your text, because essentially that's all you have is the phone. So if you're replying to me with one word answers, I'm going to think, what am I meant to think of that? Like, that comes across as either like you're angry or rude or you can't be fucked, pretty much. And I know he didn't mean any of that, but I was like, you have to change your text then, because that's the only communication. Like, you're not coming home tonight and we're not going to have a good conversation when you get home. It's only on the text. So that is a massive thing, communication through texting. And then we also FaceTimed like every night. So I think it might even be better like not texting. I don't know, because
I had that written down, like,
you'll probably talk
not
about that.
Messaging every aspect of your day kind of thing.
Yeah. In saying that, it's better to not always text, because you kind of lose that effort in it. So I guess it would be good to maybe call every night and update your day, or every now and then text throughout your day, how's your day going, but not every little thing, because that's when you start to go, like, get over it.
And you lose excitement. You've got nothing to tell each other at the end of the day kind of thing.
So, I mean... Yeah. And I think overthinking is, like, a big thing. You have to have trust in your partner and try not to overthink, I guess. I can't, like... remember any experiences in that, but I just know, you obviously have to trust your partner to do long distance, because you're not with them 24/7, but and try not to overthink, because that's when it can lead into arguments too. Like, if you're always like, why aren't you replying, or where are you, or blah blah blah, then that can start some arguments, which can ultimately like lead to unsuccessful long distance relationships.
I feel like if you do like end up in the whole why aren't you replying, like, you end up turning into someone that you don't even know. Like, because at the start, I remember at the start, literally, like, I would never be that kind of person. Then by the end of it, you're clingy, like, why didn't you message? And you kind of like just take a step back. You go, who is this person that I'm turning into? Or because of a long distance and not getting a text back.
That is literally long distance for you. It like full changes everything. Yeah. And I just remember when it was done and I moved to Canberra, I think I should get it up actually. I think I definitely posted
Give us the receipts.
I posted a photo and the caption was like, I was just so...
Actually, I remember it, the huge, like, we're done. We're finished post.
We're finished long distance and we can finally have a normal relationship. Yeah. Because it just... It's been so long, but I just remember always saying to myself, like, I'll never do it again. Like, I'll never do that again. Like, it just changes you, and everything you say, you're like, why am I doing this over, like you said, like a non-reply? And because essentially that's all you have is the phone. So it makes it so hard. But I think if communication's there, you're both on the same page and you work out, like, when to call, when to text, what you need as well, like, what you need in that communication, it will it helps a lot. Because if, like, for me, I just needed a bit more effort in the text and for Shay to not be so blunt, because to me, that if I was to do that, I'd be like replying shitly. I don't even know if that's a word, shitty. But when he sends it, that's just how he texts. So I know that that's not his best form of communication. So that's why we went to FaceTime. This was my caption 167 weeks ago. I said...
Holy shit.
So this is when I first moved to Canberra, which was over 3 years ago. So I said, we did it. He. Sorry, I wasn't going to read that.
He.
After 16 months of long distance, we finally get to begin a quotation normal relationship. Extremely excited for this new chapter. To anyone else doing long distance, applause to you. Not many people understand how hard it is. If you can do long distance, you can do anything.
I remember that like it was yesterday. That's crazy. Like, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Because 16 months, so it was longer than a year. Actually, that makes sense because it was November and I didn't move down till February. Yeah. The following year. So, yeah, I think communication, you need to work out what works best for both of you and what each other needs from it. It's kind of like a love language. Like, if you're not giving someone the right love language, they're not receiving love. So if you're not giving someone what they need in a long-distance relationship regarding communication, then...
I think, like your love language changes and your needs change. Yeah. Like, I remember, like, I just always think that it literally changes who you are. And I always, like, my piece of advice to someone in a long-distance relationship is that you've got to give it, like, a chance. Like, just because it's shit at the time doesn't mean that when you finally come together in, say, like, a month or a year, that it won't be better, because they're not who they are, and who you are is just not reflective of what it will be like in person. So there is hope.
Yeah. Exactly. Go on.
Just that thing about the love languages, that's so true, Steph, because when someone goes, what's your love language? I'm like, don't ask me, because in a month it will be something completely different.
I'm the same.
Yeah. It changes all the time.
Same. Steph, you always ask me what my love language is, and I'm like, so it was like physical touch last night because I didn't have any, and then it's like
no wonder boys can't figure us out, because like
mine's the same.
Do my love language, give me my love language. Well, last week, Brittany, it was it was physical touch. Like, no wonder we're so difficult.
Brittany,
sorry, that was just my go-to. Like, girl name, Brittany.
But it's so true. Like, you're
trying to tell us that you're dating a Brittany.
I'm actually going to use this no, I'm just kidding.
It's actually so true that, like, your love language is so different during long distance. 100%. There's no physical touch even involved, like, you know, so that one's out of it. So, yeah, I think,
just give me a bit of...
What about your story, Remy?
Mine's not as exciting as Shana's.
Is mine exciting?
There's a few ups and downs. And
for yours or?
Yours.
Yeah, like, I mean... That was a bit of a roller coaster. And then we got there.
Yeah. I feel like have secondhand, PTSD from from the long distance. I can't believe you did it, and then I watched you go through that, and then I got straight into one.
Remy, like, watched me go through it, and then she's like, actually, I remember you texting me. Do you remember that?
I think so, and I was like, give me all
Wait, am
the
I allowed
advice.
To say? Just like what the text kind of was.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember you texted me, I was at Canberra, and you were like, hey, like, I'm thinking about doing long distance with this guy, kind of thing, and it was at the point where you're both about to part ways. So you spent, like, your whole summer together, and then you were both going to live somewhere else. And I literally, do you remember what I said? I pretty much was like, look, I probably would never do it again, but if this, and this, I think you can definitely work through it, as long as, like, this, and this, and then also having that end date. But I always come back to, if you're meant to be together, then if long distance doesn't work and you're meant to be together, then it will happen in the future. It just wasn't meant to be right now. So, and that's what I always said, even, like, after breakups and stuff. I'm like, if we're meant to be together, like, it will happen. So, that was my text to you, I guess. And then what were your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, so I was doing long distance for, like, just shy of a year. So me and my ex-partner, we've had heaps of history. So, like, we've known each other for ages, but we were only dating for, like, a year. But we've always had history. And we both moved back to Cost because of COVID. We can also blame COVID for some of the damage.
Yeah, because Remy did it during COVID, which would have been...
And that's why we were both back in Cost.
Yeah, so it kind of started... dating thing, and then once you guys were both moving away, it was like a long distance, but then you couldn't visit each other.
Exactly. So we were both back in Coffs, and then my ex-partner moved back to Newcastle, but I was moving to the Gold Coast. So we're like, what do we do here? And then we kind of
And because it was very early on too. Like,
so
it wasn't
early.
like you could be like, I'm going to move to the Newcastle. Yeah. Okay.
No, and we didn't really have time to build like a solid foundation before we did that long distance. Like, we only had a few solid months together.
Yeah.
So that was also really tough. So, like, I would say don't rush into it if you haven't spent a decent amount of time with your partner before.
Agreed.
Yeah, like, don't move across the country to avoid long distance if you don't even know them yet.
Yeah. And then they moved to Newcastle. I moved to the Gold Coast, and we decided to do the long distance.
Mm-hmm.
And at the start, like, we had no major blowouts or anything. It was just pretty much distance got the better of us kind of thing. And it was very tough because he was in, like, his second year of uni, and I was only just starting uni. So I was going through the whole exciting times and everything's new and making new friends and going out. But he already had, like, this kind of routine. So it did differ in them ways. And it's not like we kind of both had the 9-to-5 jobs where, all right, we'll text tonight. My uni schedule plus work and his degree schedule were totally opposites. And our holidays didn't even match up. So it's not like we even had, all right, well, we have holidays, let's study harder.
Yeah, because uni's like 8 weeks or something, and then you have holidays.
Nothing lined up at all. So that was very tough.
And I think for you didn't have an end point.
Yeah, there was no end goal. And his degree didn't allow him to move. And at the time, what I was studying, they didn't really offer it the same as they do at the Gold Coast. So it was either like change what I'm doing for a boy, which I knew in myself that I never wanted to do.
Yeah.
Or it was him pack up, stop his degree and move.
Yeah,
so
because essentially he has years of uni left that he has to finish there or in that state. And then your degree isn't offered in that. Yeah, so there was no, like, middle point where you could kind of meet.
And, like, he also had placements in, like, all these different places. So it wasn't just in Newcastle. So it was really tough. But, so that's kind of the backstory of it. It failed. But we are still good friends to this day, and as Shana said, if it's meant to be, it'll be. So.
Yeah, and I think it just, as you said, failed because of the distance part.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because it changes you and what you need kind of thing. Yeah. So it's hard to keep up with that. Not necessarily something happened or anything.
No, I do think that if, like, the whole long distance didn't happen, we would probably still be together today. But as you said, like, distance and things happen for a reason, so but that's pretty much it.
Did you have notes?
Oh yeah, I had a few things scribbled in my journal.
Oh, no.
I don't actually have a journal, just my notes. One of my biggest ones was, we haven't really touched on it yet. This might sound like come out wrong, but also, like, the money, like the cost of long distance. Flights, everything. Like, it's actually very tough.
I think a relationship in general, like, costs a lot of money because like my sis, or like our other sister, she's like, she'd always say, oh my god, I've saved so much more than you, blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, I did a year of a long distance paying for flights to Canberra, which was minimum 500. And then when you'd be there, you'd be trying to have as much fun as you can. So you'd be going out and everything. Yeah. And she's just recently, or not recently, she's been in a relationship for like 9 months, I think now. And she's like, her savings is just going full down and they live together. And I'm like, see, it's bloody expensive until obviously you get to that point where you're both saving together and whatever. But at the start, it's expensive. And then, like you're saying, long distance of flights, usually you have just time off work. Yeah, that's true. That is a good point. Yeah, because oh my god, it is.
There was also another one we touched on it earlier. Was when you do get time together, I found this very difficult. You had this pressure to make it perfect.
Yeah,
and Dylan and I had
Sorry, imagine if we're on a live.
Dude, I would actually shit my pants.
Rem, do you need to go to the bathroom? I'm sweating.
Should we give him a name?
Yeah, what name? Brittany?
Yeah, there was this huge pressure to make everything perfect.
Yeah.
For that weekend. Like, we can't argue, we can't do everything. This has to be perfect because then we won't see each other. And I found like that put a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah, and you touched on it before, Steph, about you were already in this like disagreement.
Yeah.
But then when you visit, you'd feel like you can't talk about it because you have to have a good time. So
yeah.
Over text, say if you got in a disagreement, nothing gets sorted out because that weekend has to be amazing. Like,
yeah. And I guess, like, it depends on whether you, as a person, like, I know I can't resolve issues via text or even a phone call, like, and so I would even find I'd be like, okay, I'm going to see him in a week. We even had this, so, like, after I moved back, I would still go back to visit my parents who were there for, like, another 2 years. And I'd go, you know, with uni, like, for 3 months at a time. And we'd still have like random little fights. And while I was more confident in our relationship because, you know, we weren't technically doing long distance, I'd be away for 3 months, which I guess is long distance. And I remember sometimes we'd have a fight and I'd be like, I literally don't even know if I can talk to you till I get back, because it would be like 3 or 4 days. And I would be like, we're just going to keep arguing because we can't resolve it. And I'm just someone who I also shut off in like, you know, fights and stuff like that. And I'd find it so difficult because I'd just be like, I literally can't resolve this issue. So when you're doing long distance, like, my God, you then get there and you're like, fuck, like, are we going to talk about this fight? How important is it? Or are we going to have this perfect time? And it's just so difficult on relationships.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I think it might be like an anxiety thing, Steph, where like if I know for me, I don't want to speak on behalf of you, but if there's a disagreement and like I'm just getting so frustrated, especially over text, I'll just shut down and I'm like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
And like, obviously it's not the best way to deal with things all the time, but that's just me. And I think when I did move to the Gold Coast, it was a huge adjustment and stuff. And obviously everyone has their mental health battles. I found myself shutting down a lot kind of thing. So that's another thing. Like, you just have your own battles. And then he obviously had his. And then you kind of just – and all our arguments would – like, when you would really think about it, would stem from us just caring too much.
Yes.
And you're like, we're legit arguing because we love each other. So why are we arguing? Yeah, and it's just kind of a cycle, I think.
That was the same.
And you're sad because you're not together. And like, it's just coming out in a fight when really it's like, fuck, we just want to be together.
That's like, your fights would mainly be about you just wanted to be together.
Yeah.
And then you just make up, I'm annoyed because of this. And it's
you would make stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah. We found it hard with, like, obviously everyone has different priorities kind of thing. And I know, like, not to deep dive into it too much, but, like, I had just gotten a new job and stuff. So I obviously, for them first few weeks, couldn't visit, like, go to Newcastle or to Coffs.
You a very independent person in a relationship as well. Like, you even what you're saying now, you're not, like, separation anxiety or you need him to be there or at this point anyway. So yeah, very, like, not like everyone can be clingy, but I would be probably the least clingy person. So, like, but with the job thing, like, I found my partner getting frustrated if I couldn't visit, but it was things like just that I would, like, obviously I prioritize having a job because that's what I live off. I live out of home now. Just all them. And you're at the point where you were new, so you couldn't take time off.
I was new. I couldn't take time off, and then, like, my partner didn't like that, and, like, then it just creates an argument.
And that probably stems from him just being frustrated, not being able to see.
100%.
Like, not that.
That's all it was, and just different priorities and stuff that's just life things that get in the way of relationships, I think.
Yeah. And also, like, the way that long distance changes you, like, because I know, you know, I did long distance for a year, and I actually, kid you not, the first 6 months was him being incredibly clingy, and I was, like, so independent, but I was almost, like, in a way getting, like, I'm just going to say it, like, turned off, you know, like, I was almost getting the ick because it was so much. It was like that.
I think that's such a big thing about the, like we were saying before, don't text 24/7 because you can come across like this, and then you, like, kind of get the ick because you're like, give me space. Like, you don't need to text me what chair you're sitting in at school, you know?
Yeah.
That was the most random example, but like the unnecessary stuff because you just want to talk, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. And because like of our fight and because I do kind of shut down, like I was just like, I literally, because he wanted to text all the time. And then when we'd Skype, because it was before FaceTime, by the way, lol, like he would cry the whole time. And I was just like, I literally can't, like, I actually can't fucking deal with this. Because I know it sounds so bad, but I was just like, I don't even know, like, it's just sad, like, sitting there crying. I was like, let's talk about something important. And the texting would be more like, where are you? And so all of a sudden I was like, because I would say I didn't leave the house for like, or Wi-Fi for ages. And then when I finally started doing it, I was like, this is a breath of fresh air to not have him texting me or being like, what are you doing? Why aren't you replying? Like, every 3 minutes. So that's why I like literally didn't tell him that I had a SIM card, because I was like, I just want to be able to go to lunch with my mum and not have him be like, why aren't you replying? What are you doing? Who are you with? What are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm fucking having lunch with my mum. Relax. But the thing is, that's him. And my point is more that at the 6-month mark, it swapped. And then I was like more clingy and he was 18 and he was going out clubbing and like shit, and I just didn't understand what it was. And I started being like, are you talking to other girls when you go clubbing? Like, is it normal for, you know, like, you know, and he'd go to the strip clubs and stuff too, and I'd just be like, honestly, I just don't know what that's like. And because of long distance, I knew his friends, which is another big topic, not sure if it's in your notes, but his friends would kind of like, I just felt like they'd be like, oh, you know, like, it's not going to work anyway, so like, just fuck this bitch, or, you know, do this or kiss her, like whatever. And I feel like the circle of friends sometimes don't take your relationship seriously when you're not present all the time too. Yeah. Anyway, so I've been in both boats where I've been the one that's like, I'm getting the ick, but also I've been like so anxious, and it's just like, fuck, it changes you. It is so not
I was
good.
the same, except at the start I was like hell invested, and then like I had some mental stuff, and then I just detached, and then I found myself like getting the ick, and then when you like, sometimes you're just like, all right, let's talk, and they start bringing up relationship stuff or problems in the relationship, and you're like, okay, well, I don't want to talk about this, so let's not, or I won't go on my phone, and then like they would get mad that you're not talking, and then like it just kind of snowballed, and I think that's like what led to the end of it, was just it all got a bit too much kind of thing. But I definitely know what you mean about like, I'm just out for lunch with my mum, like, stop calling, or like that kind of thing. Yeah. Did you find it hard
exactly like that?
Shay's,
I can't really remember, but
friends in Canberra, because at the very start, when you didn't know who they were, when it was all new.
No, I knew his friends just from when he lived in Cobbs. He was always like on the phone to them, like playing PlayStation and stuff. Okay. So I knew them off that, and they're all so nice. So no, I wasn't worried about.
They are nice.
Them. So no.
Yeah, I think I was lucky. I didn't really know
of Shay's friends wouldn't be like, oh my god, fuck a long distance, because essentially, I mean, where our long distance kind of came from is because we broke up and then we went together for about a year. I think, not to like toot my own horn, but
just do it. Say it.
No, it's not even tooting my own horn, but he pretty much, you know how girls realised, Rem's getting another drink. You know how girls realise they go through the heartbreak straight after a breakup. So obviously we broke up because Shay was moving, and then I went through the whole heartbreak at the beginning, like my life's over, depression phase. So I went through the breakup stage first, right at the beginning, and then because we didn't talk to each other for a year because it was so hard that we ended up cutting off communication because, you know, essentially it's a breakup. And then a year later he messaged me and was like, it was like he went through the whole, oh my God, I miss you kind of phase. So then that's when he messaged me, and actually at that point I was like, shit, I don't know, like, because we're going to have to do long distance, because I'm not going to move down now because I haven't been with you do you know what I mean? So
I'm seeing like a similar pattern where like each couple, and individual in the relationship has gone through different phases at different times, which has kind of put it in the rocks. Like Shay's having a month of I miss you and you're not, and then Shay's out of it, and then you're in the I miss you. So, I found, because Steph said the exact same thing and I said the same thing, so that seems to be like a common
thing. I think that happens in everyday relationships though. Like that's something that I reckon Sam and I go through, you know, and actually living together, maybe. Like Sam and I seem pretty equal, but we've definitely also, in my relationship with him, I've been more clingy and then he's been more clingy and I've been more independent, and I always think one person loves the other more, always. And that's almost what keeps it interesting if you think about it, because like you feel like you chase a little bit for 3 months and then you're like, I don't know, it just changes. So, but long distance is intensified and it can break you. That's the difference.
Yeah. And I think going back to his friends, I visited Shay after he messaged me like a month later. I was like, I'll go visit him. Like, I haven't seen him for a year. We'll just see what happens. And we ended up having like a chat and being like, all right, we're going to do long distance. We're going to be like officially doing long distance kind of thing. And that's when I met most of his friends too. And I knew of most of them before that from dating him in Coffs. So I knew I didn't have anything really to worry about in that aspect. That's good. Like there was no one going to be like, go out kind of thing, or screw this bitch, you know. So it was good in that department. Like, his friends are all really good. Love you guys.
Shout out Canberra. Woo!
Well, my experience was in Canberra and his friend literally hated my guts. Like, hated me.
Okay, that would have stressed me out.
Yeah, I would have been stressed.
That's the thing. They'd go out together. I also didn't know what a nightclub was like. I was like, does everyone make out with each other? Like, I actually don't know what a nightclub's like. And he'd go out to nightclubs essentially with someone that hated me and would be like, you know, you shouldn't be with her, blah, blah, blah. And our whole relationship, like the whole 4 years, was him saying that, even when I was back in Canberra with him. So, like, long distance was made so much more difficult because I'd be overthinking, like, well, you know, if I was intoxicated and had my best friend in my ear, you never know.
His friends were fine, because this is where it gets interesting. So all his close
we were like,
friends...
oh, wait, I thought we already heard the interesting stuff.
Wait,
I was
like, there's more juicy already.
So this is, I think, I don't know if this helped or hindered. I'm not too sure.
Do I know this?
Yeah. Okay. So all his close friends moved to the Gold Coast and all my close friends moved to Newcastle. So we've done a full swap of friend groups.
Yeah, for uni and stuff.
For uni. Yeah. So I'm hanging out with all of his close mates and he's hanging out with my close mates. I think it helped because we definitely it was kind of like all right, well, I know where you are and none of my mates would do anything. So cool. Yeah. So I think it helped a lot. So I'm similar to Shana. It was good. Yeah. Oh yeah, I had a question.
You're going to have to cut me out saying that every time.
Well, this is like, I don't know the answer, but it was a thought. Do you think like when you're doing long distance that it's good to set a time to talk and call, or it's just random? Do you know what I mean? Like, let's call it 8:00 every night or every second night. Do you think it's best to have it like that or no?
I think that just comes down to like both people.
Yeah. Because I was thinking it's kind of the thing of expectations.
It's expectations, the whole thing.
Because if I was like, we call every Tuesday, where the fuck are you? Are you at the strip club?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then if they can't do it, it's like,
expectations.
You don't care about me kind of thing. Yeah.
So, but then it's also like, then if there's none, then it can get messy. I was that's what was on my mind. I think
it generally comes down to both people's expectations, and you just got to try and like, even they might be completely different too. Like you might have to fill their expectations in a different way to how yours need to be filled. So I think it depends person to person.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing we're getting on our Instagram posts is communication. And I think we've discussed everything about that. I feel like
that's such a broad topic though.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to go, communicate, but it's like
how?
Everyone's
different.
This is just such a topic where it's just individual preference really.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of people monthly trips planned and actively working to close the gap. So as in finishing it, which that was hard for you.
I was about to say, I don't think we said that mine didn't have an end date.
Yeah. So that's so hard.
Yeah, it's very it's kind of just every day is like, all right, well, this is what it's going to be. This is the future kind of thing.
I literally couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I reckon I would have broke up after a week if I didn't know there was like a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I'm not even kidding, because that's how fucking hard it was. It was not worth it.
Like, I feel like, especially at the very start, it was a decision that was just blinded by love and being in love.
Because it would have been hard to let go of what you had all summer to then be like, okay, see ya.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not give it a go. Like,
we
at least
probably
you gave it a go.
have thought about it a bit more, but like, no regrets.
Yeah,
definitely. No. Yeah.
Well, a question that I have, Shana, is like, I don't know whether you've touched on this yet, but you've done both. Like, you've done long distance, but you've also broken up because you are going to be apart. Yeah. Like, you're moving, like Shay was moving away. And I feel like someone that's listening might be like in that phase where it's like, fuck, is long distance worth it? Or is breaking up the answer? And I mean, you guys got back together, so that's hopeful.
I mean, at the point when we broke up, we essentially just broke up because I just finished school, so I was like 17 or 18. And it was too big of a thing for me to move to Canberra after dating someone for just 9 months. Like, it was only 9 months. That's a pretty long time, but not to move somewhere that I knew no one, had no family, different lifestyle. Like, there was nothing there for me besides him.
How far is it to Canberra to Coffs again?
An 8-hour drive.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So it wasn't really an option, kind of, because it was like, we're so young that we weren't going to do this massive move for each other after such a short time together, I guess. And so it just depends on your circumstances. But, like, in saying that, like, for you, it was like the move. Like, if you had a choice, got like Goldie, Coffs, Newcastle, like, it's a bit closer on the coast. Like, there's a bit more pros to it.
Yeah. Whereas
there wasn't many kind of pros individually for myself. It was just based on the relationship, which is like a lot of pressure for a relationship. So we didn't want that to ultimately come between it as well. Me moving at 18 for a boy I'd only been dating for 9 months to somewhere I would never live in my life.
And who knows, winding back, imagine if you had have made the move, who knows if you and Shay would be together now.
Exactly. Like, that's what I mean. I might have moved down with him.
And it just
too
early.
Yeah, too early. Exactly. Yeah. And that's when I said, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And then a year later, it was. And so I think if you're in that situation where you have to either, everyone, I guess, goes, unless you meet each other living separately or like you're on a holiday, everyone's either like, are we going to break up or are we going to do long distance? And I think my advice is to be prepared of how difficult it is, because it's not at one point easy. And to just look at your, I guess, situation. Do you have how long have you been together? Is it worth jumping straight into moving for this person? Or are you better off? Yeah, look at your situation and just think, is it the time to move for this person because you are moving for that relationship? If it's not going to work individually for yourself, because if you break up, you're still there. You can always move back, I guess, but you don't want to put that big pressure on your relationship as well. If you're only been dating for 6 months, you could, I guess, try long distance and see how it goes.
Hard decision.
It's so hard. And you made the decision though. You had to make it too, and you chose long distance.
Yeah.
Because that's what I mean. But you had lots of history, and you were together for 3 months. That's what I mean. It's so hard to let go and just break up. At my point in time, I was probably like, no, I'll fucking move. Do you know what I mean? Because you just want that. Because 9 months is a pretty long time. So I was like, yeah, I'll do anything for this. Do you know what I mean? But logically, there was nothing, logic about me moving.
That's such a mature decision too, because we're so young. It was so far away.
you know, so
yeah.
And then we're like, whatever's going to happen.
I think if me and my ex didn't have like the history that we did, there was no way I would go in and do long distance like we did.
Because you would have only had like 3
I think it was like a few months with each other, but like we had known each other for a very long time.
Yeah. But then obviously if you're dating and then someone gets a job like and you have to make the decision whether to move with them or break up, it just depends how long you've been dating for. Is the relationship worth it? Can you see yourself being with this person forever?
Yeah.
Because you're either moving for them to ultimately make it forever with them, or I guess to see how it goes. Yeah, or you're like, no, this relationship probably isn't for me and I'm not going to move across the country for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I also, because when ours is going, I could have went to uni in Newcastle, but then it's that thing, like, are you going to change your path for someone?
Yeah, but
like, what is the right, like, and what's selfish and
that's
what's
what I
not.
mean. Like, do you change the location of your uni for your relationship?
Yeah.
And then you have so much pressure to make it work.
Yeah.
Like, me moving to Canberra, like, that would never be a thing. So at that point in time, I couldn't, but then 2 years later, I could, you know, because it's different circumstance. So, yeah.
And, like, you know, touching on that, I know that I decided, like, while it's different because I was originally from Canberra, like, I know that if I wasn't with my partner, I would not have gone back to Canberra and studied at the ANU. Like, I literally did make that choice for him. And I think I was saying to you, Shana, the other day, or like tracking back to our last episode on career paths, like, I actually have these intense regrets not taking a gap year. Like, I am the definition of a motherfucking gap year, and I didn't take one because I was dating this guy and I was like, we're not fucking surviving and I've got to make it back. Where if I was together with him, I would have probably gone and done 3 months or 6 months away and come back. But like, I was like, at the end of a year, there's no fucking way.
Yeah. And that's where I think you both lose yourself in long distance. Yeah. Like, if you were together, you would have went on that gap year, but you were thinking, I need to make this relationship work. So you're more focused on that. You kind of lose who you are. And I think that's why I was just so excited to finally move and be not doing long distance anymore, is because it's like, oh, we finally have that relief, like that thing that we have to do every day and like put so much effort into every day. It's just there now. It's not like this constant text and phone call and I have to do this, I have to do that to maintain that relationship. It's just, oh, we'll see each other tonight. Like, we live together. So do you know what I mean? And now it's like you can now focus on your own things, I guess, if you did lose yourself in that relationship. Yeah. I mean, I definitely did too. Everyone does, but because your main focus is that relationship, you know, like, so. Yeah.
It's, with long distance, I feel like there's a very fine line with, obviously you want to put your partner first and everything like that, but it's also, it gets to the point where it's obvious you got to put yourself first. Like,
exactly.
And where does it become like, all right, where you're being selfish, like, I'm not moving.
Yeah.
Or like someone has to sacrifice, and Shana made the sacrifice to move to Canberra, and it's worked out. Exactly. It's just one of them things.
And that's why the sacrifice was way bigger at the breakup point. That's why I didn't do it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whereas 2 years later, after being with Shay for 2 years and being a bit older and me actually doing that, like having things to do down there or whatever, it was more realistic for me to move and less of a sacrifice, I guess.
So don't jump into anything. I think that's
I think
what we can get from it.
Yeah, I think definitely be prepared of like all the effort and stuff. And just think about going into a long distance relationship. Yeah. There's 2 success stories in here. It's not all negative, but I think we're just more saying like prepare that it's hard, you know. A lot of people would say things and it just wouldn't make sense. And that's why I think in my caption I made a point of saying no one understands it until you've done it.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you think about it, it's like, just send the text.
Yeah.
It's
And like, you're doing everything by yourself, going out, like you wish your partner was there and you're just like, oh, I just want him to be there. And then finally they're there and you're like, yes, you know, we did it. But
And for some reason, even though you're both doing long distance and you're both in the same situation, you get shit at each other because you're doing long distance.
Yeah.
Like, why are you in a shit mood? Oh, because I can't see you. All right, but you miss me, so why are you being shitty to me? Like, I think love can just do some crazy things.
Yeah. Steph, would you do long distance for Sam if he, like, you'd just move, hey?
I would go with him, but if I'm honest, I would also, you know, move too at some point.
Wait,
you know, like, I just
wait, move as in away again, or
like if he said to me today, I am going to stay in Canberra for the rest of my life, I would still need to go somewhere else, you know, and I would do long distance for that. I wouldn't break up with him. I would give that a go and I would try to do long distance because that's just what I need. Like, that's kind of my selfish choice would be to still move away, but I would hope that he would just come with me and give it a chance, and if he's unhappy then like we can come back. But if he like needed to move to fucking, I don't know, Russia in the current time, I would go. You know what I mean? Like, I would fucking go anywhere.
And that makes it easier for you because you would, like, you just travel anywhere. You don't have to think, oh, no, but I don't want to live in that country because you have that. But,
would be hard.
That's
what
a good
you?
example.
AK, Sam, you're not living in Canberra for the rest of your life.
AK, Sam, get your ass to the Gold Coast now.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, like, certain situations too. Because right now, if, say, I needed to move away or Shay needed to move away, we've been dating for 5 years, so there's that different conversation.
You guys are at the point in your relationship where obviously you would, you're going together.
You'd try to go together, exactly. Yeah. So it's just different if you're in a new relationship.
That's a good example with Steph, like, because if anyone knows Steph, she's a traveller and has always wanted to get out of Canberra and explore more. So if she was to turn around to Shana tomorrow and go, actually, I'm going to stay in Canberra for the rest of my life, obviously would be like, Steph, no, come on, like,
but then it's like role reversal. Role reversal. If you needed to move to Russia, would Sam go with you? Or
Steph's going to war. Sam, what are you doing?
Like, Sam would struggle. Like, he would struggle to go on a holiday for longer than 4 or 5 weeks, you know, and like we've had a lot of conversations about it, and I think the hardest one for us, and this is the kind of pre-long distance chat that you often have, is I said to him, like, you've got to know I'm currently in this time in my life sacrificing for him. Today, yesterday, and tomorrow I'm sacrificing for
and that was
our relationship by staying still.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where you're doing it for them. So I would think and hope that our relationship, like, he would kind of return the favor at some point and be like, all right, like, I've done what I said I needed to do here and I'm going to give it a go. And all I need is him to give it a go. Yeah. And I mean, if not, but I can't stay here. So it would have to be one of those, like, then we'll do long distance.
And see, it depends what type of person you are as well. Yeah. Because you can easily like move to wherever Sam could go, but if it was the other way around, it's a bit different. So it also depends on how much you can sacrifice and all your situations. So.
Yeah. And I think another fair point is, like, you know, this is a little bit twisted because we're currently together, but say I was in a long distance relationship and I was at the Gold Coast and Sam was moving for me. I think it is crucial that you, as the person who's staying in your home or getting what you want and the other person sacrificing, you show that support, because everyone's going to need to adjust. They're going to need to, they're shifting their whole life for you. And you've got to fucking appreciate it. And you've really, really got to, like, make sure that you support them through their ups and downs. And when they get sad, like, they're going to miss their home. They're going to miss these friends. And, like, I think that's really, really important transition phase. You know?
That's a great point. Yeah.
I feel like we could talk about it for ages, because it's just like,
definitely.
There's not really any answer.
3 opinions on it. And 3 different
three opinions.
Yeah.
Every single situation is so different. Like, literally it literally just depends. Our whole thing is like, just look at your situation and just pros and cons, what's right for both of you. Keep yourself, like, first as well. So
self first, 100%.
Yeah.
I will say that all day, definitely. Like, and I'm not saying like selfish. Like,
no,
but like,
But if you're going to sacrifice your whole life, like, is it worth it right now, or, you know?
Yeah, not everything's a rush too.
Exactly.
If it's meant to be, as Shana said, like Shana hold it out, and like it's worked out perfectly.
Yes, exactly. We said no, we're not doing long distance, and then a year later we did it. So it was just the timing as well. So, but yes, I think we should wrap this episode up. Thank you all for listening. Yes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow on all our socials. And stay tuned for our next episode. Rate us 5 stars too.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Remy.
Love y'all.
Yeah, thanks, Remy. Bye, guys. See you in the next episode. Bye.